Alright. Hey everybody, I am Jeffrey Jansen. A lot of you already know who I am, which I apologize, but what we're doing now is we all know what recruiting is and B2B and everything else. This is for my truck drivers. This is an experimental plan that neither no one's approved nor denied or anything else, but here's kind of the way that we are going to start working with our truck drivers. Now remember this, the information we're getting for each and every one of our truck drivers is coming from truck drivers that are on our team, okay? This is Team Legacy. So the first thing we're going to do on here is put Team Legacy, because how this is going to work is once you got Team Legacy, alright, now that doesn't mean nothing. Now what we're going to do though, and I might need to get some broader markers, which I will. Give me a second. These are all experimental videos. Nothing has been approved by corporate, and I'm going to do my best not to say too much about other stuff that we do, because this one here is going to be primarily for truck drivers and the trucker coalition that we are starting, okay? So, let me get a black marker out here. Okay, we'll do purple, I guess. Okay. Oh, there's a black marker right there. So, what we're going to do is I want you to look at this as I'm working with you right now, okay? And as part of my team, and you already know how our pay structure works, how the rank structure works. Now, how are we going to do this with truck drivers? Well, how we're going to do it with truck drivers is first, I'm going to put myself in here for right now. That doesn't mean that's what it's going to be, just example. Alright, so we have me. Eventually that's going to turn into you. How this works right here is truck driver. Okay? Now, why are we making a specialty category with a circle around it for a truck driver? Okay? Here's what I want you to understand. Truck drivers, we understand, they can make phone calls while they're behind the wheel, but they can't go to different places, and they're traveling all throughout the United States. So we have come up with several different ways of truck drivers to be able to make money, to be able to push out what they need to. But it depends on a team effort, okay? Truck drivers, this is going to be successful based on a team effort, all right? So what a truck driver is going to do is every time that they're somewhere, they're going to make a list, just like everybody else would normally do. They're going to make a list. They're going to put down a person's first and last name. They're going to put down the company's names. They're going to put the human resources person down. And what they're going to do is they're going to pass it off to somebody like me. In this particular team, this is what they're going to do for right now. Unless you have somebody below you to where I am called teammate. Okay? So blue is going to represent a teammate. Now, what that truck driver does is they will pass up their information to me. Okay? Now what we do is right for the business side of things. Okay? This is going to be, we're going to start out with the business side. Okay? Business, group, and employee benefits. Okay? Why did I put all three of those on there? Okay, right now, the individual ones we're not worried about. This is going to go off of businesses, employee benefits, and group accounts. Everybody knows in order to do a group, you need 5 or more counters in each group. Okay? Now, businesses need truck drivers need business. Now, we have CDL plans, we have basic family legal plans, we have individual plans. Right now, we're just concentrating on the benefit part of it and how we are going to basically get the truckers to the top of the food chain. But in order for this to happen, it's going to take teamwork. And you cannot lie, cheat, steal, or corrupt anybody. And if you do, those truck drivers have every right in the world to be upset and to not be part of a team. However, that truck driver gets me, the teammate, all the information. So, what we do is we're going to do a split. That means the company, he gave me the information, now I'm going to go and call that company. Okay? If I'm able to get into that company, and we go talk to the company, I'll do the work to get into that company. So, I will do the follow-up. In other words, now I'm going to call the company. Okay, I'm going to make the meetings. But once I'm into the company, here's what we're going to do. The company is going to do a half split. So we're going to do what's called a split. That means every time I go to that company now, I'm splitting it with that driver. They don't have to go in. They don't have to go enroll me. They don't got to go to safety meetings. They don't got to go. But because they gave me the name, it's going to be a split. Okay? Now, what's going to happen now is that driver then, they're going to help build a team underneath of them. In that team, we're going to have a team, and a team. Okay? Now that team may or may not be truck drivers. Okay? However, if they're not truck drivers, what's going to happen is that team is going to get trained. Okay? There's a benefit of this truck driver now being part of a team. So now, this truck driver, okay, he is now training his team. Or she. Doesn't really matter. Okay? They're going to get their CDLP. Okay? And they're going to get their employee benefits in their group. Okay? Now, what's going to happen is, say that driver gave me 3 companies. Okay, let's say he gave me 3 companies and we've been splitting it. Okay? Now, what's going to happen is I'm taking my half of the split. Okay? Each teammate now, depending who they are, these are regular teammates. They're not truck drivers, they're just teammates. They can actually go in and they can do the employee benefits now. So now what's going to happen is I'm taking my split, and now the split is going to happen split 50-50 between one of your teammates from that one company. So now what's happening is each one's got a split for whatever company they're in. Okay? The more the teammate takes on, the more splits they get. Now, how does this benefit the driver? Once the split is taken off of me, which is above the driver, and put below the driver, now that driver not only is getting half of the split, now they're getting the overrides. So now the driver gets the split, half of the split, plus all overrides. Okay? Now here's what the thing is. Now the next truck drivers that come up, these guys need to find truck drivers. Truck drivers and truck drivers. Okay? So the whole key to this is getting the split away from me, who's above that truck driver, and get it put below them. Why? Is because then you not only get the overrides from everything going on here, from both 100% of the overrides, but you also are getting 50% of the split by just driving a truck. That way the truck driver doesn't have to go to the companies, he doesn't have to oversee it, to see it, but he does have the gold card on it. So when I come up here, this driver now has the gold card. Okay? They have to trust me to give them the gold card, just like you have to come down here and find teammates you trust. It's going to be a little more difficult. But the nice thing about it is it does not take the truck driver off the road. If we experiment with this long enough and find out if this will work, okay, then what we can do is we can start passing it on to other truck drivers. Alright? So, a lot of truck drivers, their wives, have nothing else to do other than work. They can be that teammate. Okay? So the wife can go in and do whatever she needs, or being back home and do whatever they need. But in order to expand our team, and the legacy name around the United States, using our form of service, we have to build strength within trust. Okay? And if somebody takes advantage, that truck driver is now holding the gold card, which means that that person below them, they can take that split away from them and put it onto somebody else. They can actually take it and put it to somebody else, and they can come up with their own splits with their own truck drivers. But for every 3 teammates, there has to be 1 truck driver. In other words, as we're building depth, which we do, okay, so if you're building depth, that means you have to have a truck driver, but with that truck driver, we need to put somebody in that team right away that can actually take on the responsibility of going into the businesses and stuff. What does that do for the truck driver now? Everywhere that truck driver goes, he or her are now giving that teammate more and more prospects to go in and talk to, business to talk to all over the United States. And that trucker can find somebody within that state to bring on as a teammate to split it with them. Okay? That's when they're going to call their upline, like somebody like me. And then we'll sit down, we'll figure out where the splits can go. We can figure out how many they go out. Because there may be some companies that are so far that you need to do a 25-75 split, meaning if that person's going to go do it, that truck driver may only get 25%. The person that's like if I have to go over all the way to Oregon or Alaska or somewhere like that, that split's going to be bigger. It's going to depend on distance, time traveled, hotel room, cost of gas, vehicle mileage, stuff like that. Okay? But the truck driver does not have to do it. And, you know, that person below them, if they're smart enough, they can negotiate with the truck driver. You give me the names, numbers, addresses, the people to call. If you know the people and you call and you get me in there, so it's a warm contact, that's fine. If it's a cold contact, the splits may be a little different. But the fact is, the whole point is to get it away from them. So, the point here with the truck driver then is to take his main leg and be able to have splits down here to where all he's doing is the overrides and all I'm doing is the overrides. Eventually, the whole point is the overrides. We don't make as much in overrides, but as your team builds out, those overrides add up. As an executive director, for every combo plan, family combo plan, like family and identity theft, it is a $50 override, okay, at the executive director level. So, if you're getting $50, you give the full thing to the team down here, to where they're splitting with another truck driver, or with the teammates, and you're getting $50, but now you're getting $50 everywhere else. That means you could be doing a couple $100 per day, all right? But the whole point is you have to be able to trust people. If you cannot trust, you cannot use them. And you have to work with your athletes. You got to work with me or Rich Elderman, Alan Romans, Brian Carruthers. You have to call in the corporate, find out what's going on with them. We have to make sure that we're following the game plan accordingly, okay? But it's called the split. Truck drivers using the split, it should actually, in theory, work. Because a truck driver has to be behind the road driving, but they know all kinds of contacts. They know all kinds of people. This is just a tool to be able to use to help that truck driver be an associate, which benefits you and the teammate. The trucker and the teammate. The teammate and the trucker. They have to go hand in hand. They cannot do it without each other. And if you give one to somebody and they take everything, that's a no-go. Okay? As we go about the Trucker Coalition, we will actually do more and more. Thanks, everybody. Light's kind of, sorry about that light. There we are. And that's the Trucker Coalition split.